Yes, there was supposed to be a video earlier. I didn't get the chance to film it because I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. I've been exhausted for a couple weeks. I think I girl bossed too hard. Anyway, seriously, I am lucky that I have the time to just calm down, get everything back to the way it's supposed to be. But it's been a couple of very, very rough weeks and months and years. But who's counting? I'm here for you today, and I am just going to hang out, talk a little bit of nonsense, talk a little bit about tarot, show you some decks, the decks that I've been working with, an update. Yeah, that's what we're doing. If you're thinking, Anna, it's the middle of June, why are you wearing this sort of turtleneck wool sweater? It's because I'm in the Netherlands, fellow Dutchies. Aren't you cold? I'm cold. I'm very cold. It's raining all the time. Doesn't matter. It's the weather. Let's not complain. But I am rooting for some nice, warm, sunny days. We've already had a couple, but today is a wool sweater day, and I'm staying inside. The only reason I put on makeup is because I wanted to look a little bit better for this video. There you go. So this video is very much not planned. I'm just gonna ramble. It's just gonna be tarot talk. That's it. The deck I've been gravitating towards, and you can see that, as if I need proof, on my Instagram, is Tarot of the Magical Forest. This one's by Los Scarabeo, and I trimmed it years ago. I think it might have been the only deck that I trimmed with scissors, but this one came out beautifully. The reason I picked this one, it's a Smith-Waite clone, as you can tell, is because my grandfather recently died, and he was very, very old, over 100 years old. So I knew him really well. And this deck, it doesn't matter to me how crazy those little animals look or how scared or freaked out. This deck is such a nice, childlike, cozy hug deck, and it's soft. It's so soft. It's still a real tarot deck. I always like to emphasize that because it does not shy away from the more difficult things. And look at the colors and the texture and the background. It's such honestly a good deck. I don't see this deck leaving my collection for as long as I have a collection. It's not nearly part of any sort of top 10 favorites or anything like that, but it's a deck that I find it consoles me. And at the same time, as I said, it does not shy away from the difficult things. So it's almost like it's my morning deck, Mourning, because it's so nostalgic as well. So honestly, it wasn't because my grandfather died I immediately reached for this deck, but it was more like an intuitive thing. I thought, okay, well, I only have the strength and the time and the energy and the mental space, etc., to pull one maximum of 2 cards a day right now. And I'm going to do it with this deck, okay? Some people are so, serious about their practice. I'm not saying I'm not serious. I am very serious about my practice, but let me just get through this sentence. Let me get through this sentence. Some people are so serious about their practice, I feel they're not open to this type of imagery, which in a way I understand. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But I'm telling all of those people, because I think I'm talking to an old version of myself here, see the value in this. See the value in it for maybe not for yourself, but for other people. I am very grateful that this deck exists. That's all I'm saying. So I intuitively reached for this deck, and maybe also it was in the back of my mind, that I hardly ever use this deck truly. And I sort of declared years ago that this deck was my, in fact, morning deck. So when I need that soft, still real tarot talk, but that soft message, and sweet and kind, and in a way also totally funny because the Empress is a pig, then I I reach for this deck. This is the deck that I need when I'm in a little bit more of that grieving state. And the reason I remember very well that I got that message or got that idea for this deck, I'm looking for the card right now. Wait, let me just show you this one. Isn't this so cute and so beautiful, the Lover's card? Ugh. Is because I pulled the Five of Cups. Here it is. And that's when I knew. Look at this. And the depth also. The colors. Well, that's when I knew that this deck really had this function, for me at least, that, yeah, it's the energy that I need when I feel loss. And, I'm not saying that this is the thing that I will always need when I'm in a situation like that, because every loss and grief will feel different. In a way, having declared that for myself so far, it totally works. That's all I'm saying. So maybe there's a little bit of magic in just that. And I realize I'm looking more and more like Morticia every day. That's okay. I was Morticia Adams for Halloween a couple years ago. I even shadowed in the widow's peak with makeup and stuff. It was great. It was mostly, of course, since I'm a millennial, inspired by the Addams Family movies. With the actress, she's really cool. She also did the original Witches by Roald Dahl. Yeah, she just has that look, So she is my Morticia, just saying. Okay, and the reason I'm holding the mic, by the way, because the mic stands right there, is because I really wanted to do nice audio for you guys. So I hope that's working out. I'm doing everything with one hand today just because I like the sound of my voice in recordings when the mic is this close to my face. That's it. That's it. It just sounds better. And I want to scratch your eardrums. Am I doing it? Am I doing it right now? So I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about a serious deck for a minute. The Thoth. Okay, my favorite one, my go-to is the greenie. This is when I fell in love with this imagery because I'm not saying I like softer decks, but maybe that's an intentional theme of today's video. Because the colors, etc., the vibe became softer with those green borders, and it's not just the green borders, it's an overall green hue. Actually, back in the day when this deck came out, there are quite a few of these greenies. It was a big mistake. It was a misprint because they're not supposed to have the green hue. They're not supposed to have the green borders. They're not supposed to be, muddy colors like this. I love it. This is when I thought, wow, this deck is so beautiful. And just the bigger cards and the better stock, honestly, of the vintage ones. All of that made me fall in love. And of course, reading Book of Thoth for the first time was mind-bending, gorgeous, and crazy, you know. But yeah, a lot of people hated it when it first came out. And now it's, of course, one of those, you know, decks that people search for, and I get it. That's all I'm saying. So This is so beautiful and so deep. The bigger cards feel like a ritual. I love decks actually that are tarot sized, standard tarot sized or bigger. Also have sort of large hands, so that works out well. But this one, honestly, sometimes I have trouble shuffling. But I was going to say, this certainly is a deck that is taken so seriously. You know, in comparison to honestly just the Rider-Waite-Smith in general, but also, sorry, trying to find a card I haven't shown you yet, but also like all the Smith-Waite clones that we have here with frogs and bunnies and cute things. You know, there's so many versions of that deck out now. Um, there aren't so many versions of the Thoth deck out there. It's clones, they exist by now, but they're sort of equally as serious. And I'm not saying that when I read with this deck, I cannot crack a joke. This deck certainly does crack jokes, but more in the sense of like when you're in the train and all of a sudden the train stops and they tell you that there's some sort of block and you can't keep going, and out of boredom because it's been 45 minutes already, you whip out your tarot deck, it's the Thoth, and you pull the Eight of Swords. This would be funny to me because this composition of the swords in this particular card very much looked like a train track, and it is right there in the handles, stopped in its tracks. And the message is, of course, interference, where it's a block and you can't go on this way. You know, that would probably make me giggle in the train. And then, of course, people look at you funny. Although, do people still look at you funny when you laugh out loud in public and you're not talking to anyone? Because I remember that that was a thing when I was younger. People talking to themselves in the supermarket, and we were like, okay, you're crazy. And then slowly but surely, you know, those little cell phone in-ear thingies became a thing. So we were less scared of each other in public when we were, you know, talking to ourselves, basically, when it appeared to be so. And now maybe that's an old-fashioned thing, thinking that people would look at me funny if I giggle alone in the train. Because honestly, maybe that's a normal thing these days. What weird realization. We're all on our phones, right? I try not to be, but my phone's right there. And then, of course, watching funny things on Instagram Reels or something. I know that in a couple of years, that, what I just said, is going to feel so dated. I don't know now yet, though, right? Anyway, I feel that although the reader can laugh with a tarot deck, any tarot deck, and you feel that the deck kind of cracked a joke, same as with that Eight of Swords example, silly example. The Thoth deck itself is very, very serious, a very, very solemn, very, very high magic. You know what I mean? And I respect it for that, obviously. But you know, it's in itself, I don't believe that there is a lot of humor that is put in the cards. It's not supposed to be one of those decks. And I mean, it's really just an observation. I don't think it should be funny. I have a deck here that has a lot of, not sarcasm, satire. Wow, that took a while. My favorite deck, Triomphe de la Luna Paradoxical, the Marseille version by Patrick Valenza. This is the card I pulled today, Temperance, one of my favorite temperances because there's an elephant in the back. And I adore elephants. And look at how just beautiful it is also. I feel people don't really give it credit anymore because it's sort of not new anymore, you know what I mean? Whereas, no, I was going to say, but actually, by the way, in case you don't know, the parchment paper version, I believe the illustrated one, is going to come out soon. Mass market, published by US Games. Am I supposed to say that? Am I allowed to say that? I will check back. I'm glad that I still see the beauty of this deck, even though I work with it so often. Because, you know, sometimes we just get used to images and then we want something new instead of still appreciating every time the deck that we have in front of us. This one, even though I was, you know, saying it has so much satire in it, it's still such just an aesthetically beautiful deck as well. These vines I was trying to show you, and even the snake coiling like that, and just these pips. Oh my God. It's so well done. And still it's dark and creepy and spooky. And, you know, the wands have thorns. I think it's gorgeous. You know, I'm glad that this deck, I'm still aware, even though I read with it all the time, how beautiful it is. It still catches my eyes. It's still, you know, this card, look at how beautiful it is, just in itself. You don't have to immediately jump into the symbolism, but just appreciate the beauty. And it's cute, I guess. It's not crazy serious. Yeah, satire, satire. Let me show you a card where that is actually super evident. Well, I guess the Fool. The Fool is actually farting. You've seen it. Maybe the Queen of Swords. She's defeated. You know, the courts. I feel the courts really talk a lot. Maybe this one, where it's not sure if this nurturing queen is actually starving those kitties or not. You know, there's that other side of the story in Patrick's deck. There tends to be that, you know, like there's actually bloody swords. There's the little pinky, you know, coming out in every ace card. You know, actually drops of blood. It's really everything I want to see in a deck. And that satire, funny, light, unserious aspect of it is not the first thing I see when I read with this deck. The first thing I see really is a world that is not afraid to show its darker, weird, quirky sides. You can't hide who you are, even though normal people might be ashamed of those traits that you carry, that you have. In this world, everybody just has those weird, strange traits as outside of their body, like as features. So they might have extra legs. They are all sort of two-faced. You know, they have claws instead of hands, and tentacles instead of hair. It's very Medusa, and I feel invited into this world. It's a deck I highly recommend. It's the deck I learned the Marseille system with, and I will never regret that. It's so good. And at the same time, real, true, balanced tarot deck. You know, as I said again, Pip deck, Marseille. But for me, it's also in the category of hug deck because I know it so well and it makes me feel that way. You know, like I just described, it's a big love letter for this deck, and it smells so good. And so that's also a deck I heavily gravitated towards these past 2 weeks now. And I've been pairing it with none other than Ritual Tarot by Tara May. I have such a special bond with this deck. So far, yeah. Oh my God. I love the the complexity, and honestly, I love maximalist decks. And this sure is that, you know? So you just saw, well, the Hierophant, I call it the Ancestor, and this is the Judgment or Aeon. And here we have Arcanum 13, the Death. It's all majors. What? This is the Universe. This is the Sun. And here we have some pips with the 7 of Coins. And here a beautiful Thoth-like Ace of Daggers. It's just so dreamy. I love it. It's dreamy and earth at the same time. You know, I really get beautiful messages from this deck. I get lost in this world. It actually pairs well with Triomphe della Luna, you know, the Paradoxical, although I'm sure it pairs well with the other versions as well, the other colorways. Look. Ooh, the Queen of Coins. Yes. You know, again, large cards. It just feels so good. It just feels so good. I do get feminine energy from this deck, but also it's just so balanced. You know, it's just perfectly balanced. So far, all these decks are really, really balanced. The reason I'm saying this is because what came to mind, and apparently this video is just all the things that come into my brain, I'm saying out loud. A friend and client told me that my taste in decks is pretty masculine, like traditional masculine, you know. I like the Thoth, I like the original Pixie artwork, Centennial, Smith-Waite. I like the Marseille, I like the original Marseille, but then also my favorite one. I'm not really seeing the super masculine here, but you know, it was drawn by a man. Patrick's a man. But yeah, maybe I kind of see it because I think they meant that I'm not going for that, you know. I'm trying to say, do I even have an example? Yes, I have an example, like Cosmic Tarot. It's very purple. I feel that's a very feminine deck. And I mean, obviously, why do I feel like I need to say this now? But obviously, it's not only for women, you know what I mean? Obviously, but everybody can use any deck that they want. Tarot has no gender, okay? But I kind of see it. I kind of see that I'm not usually attracted by decks that have this super girly vibe because there certainly is a super feminine vibe. However, it might not be the vibe most people think about. This, my friends, dark feminine, the other masterpiece made by Tierra May. And this deck, I did crazy things to. I glued the pages of the booklet to the back of each card, of each corresponding card. So now I have the message immediately when I turn the card around, and it's cryptic messages. But yeah, I did that. Means all the cards are kind of like that, but it feels like a craft project and it's good. This is dark feminine, and I'm not going to explain that anymore. I have a whole video about it. I think that makes sense. I am reading with this deck not to search the confrontation because I can see that this deck might be for that as well. It's the deep shadow work, you know, where you're uncovering things about yourself in the deepest, darkest, most hidden depths of your psyche. However, now it feels just like finding some sort of message that I just contemplate. That's all. That's all. I'm not overcomplicating this. I'm just enjoying the artwork, the darkness of it, and yeah, this craft project. Still haven't edged it, but I will. Again, I just need to work with it more to know how this deck wants to be edged in a way. I'm reading with this deck. The reading is not only for me, the reading is also about me. That's the decision I made. These cards are not going to tell me about a family member, about a friend, about my romantic relationship, about finances, about job, about mundane things. Granted, they might show up, but I've decided that if I ask these cards a question, they're going to be about me. That means that I can dedicate some real time to what is going on within me, what is going on with me, what's going on in me. It's therapy, basically. It's not. Tarot's not therapy, but it's therapy. But it's not. But it is. Yeah. I'm enjoying it. Do I have another deck here? Yes, I do. A deck that I actually have not worked with, but I am feeling all the vibes. A typical play deck in my collection. What is this called? The Gothic Tarot. There you go. There are two Gothic Tarots, and this is the one by Joseph Vargo. It brings a smile to my face, as I can feel and you guys can see. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna work with this one for a little while here. I don't know this deck well. The system is totally weird, but something about it. Again, this is such a deck that I feel I can just play with, not taking it super seriously. I am obviously trying to work out its messages, but I feel that this is the vibe right now. In a way, it is kind of minimalistic, isn't it? In its color choices and even the artwork. It's not giving everything all at once, like Ritual Tarot, for instance, you know? Ooh, let me show you this beautiful card, by the way. The Lust card from the second edition, I believe. So glad she changed it, because the Strength card, it was okay, honestly. I always want to love the Strength card in my deck. When it's a muscly man, I'm just like, sorry, it's not going to work, okay? No offense. Strength. I want to love the Strength card in the deck, and now she changed it to Lust, and created this beautiful collage, and oh, it's just so much better. Inspired by, in case you don't know, but of course you guys all know, unless you are new to tarot, and in that case, welcome to my channel. Hope you enjoy your time here. That Lust card is inspired by the original, very first Lust card ever created in the Crowley deck by Lady Frida Harris. This one. Oh yeah. Read about it. It's really incredible. That Lust card is gorgeous. Oh my god, I don't even know what the Strength card is in the Gothic Tarot. I'm quickly going to look that up, because now I'm curious. Because this is a deck I don't really know, as you can tell. One of the few in my collections that I really don't. If you tell me what do the lovers look like, I couldn't freaking tell you unless the card is right there in front of me and all I have to do is describe it. Okay. Oh, look at this. Iconic. I love this iconic shit. Yes, it makes me feel even more like Morticia. I'm just channeling Morticia. Okay, I'm going to look for the Strength card. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, I'm very conflicted about this deck, because the girls all seem, the women all seem kind of in distress, you know? Not all of them, like, in the Knight of Wands, Lord of Strength, she certainly seemed in control. She, yeah, had the power there. Maybe it's just this dark gothic romantic. It's more of a tarot slash oracle, because so many cards, they don't really have the symbolism that I can work with. The only reason I have an idea of what they meant is because I know the card's traditional meaning, but I kind of like that because it's the Secret Dakini Oracle effect, isn't it? Where I know what each card means, but actually it also has a different meaning. And I know it's the case with this deck as well. It also really does its own thing. Look, this is the card I was talking about. And it's serious and unserious, and I'm just hyper aware of this, but I like it. I do. I do. Yeah. Again, a deck I can really play with. Out of all of these decks, which one is your favorite? Which one are you working with right now? Or anything I haven't mentioned, what is your go-to deck at the moment? And maybe a system that you're learning or something like that. Do you have the Gothic Tarot? Do you feel that it's a tarot deck, or do you feel that it's tarot and oracle combined? Because I think the messages we get when reading with this deck are sort of different from the traditional meaning of the card. Uh, but I'm surrounded by decks that I feel I need that energy right now for different reasons, but they kind of work all together, actually. So, really happy with that. And I want to know how you guys have been doing. You know, just give me a little update in the comments. Give me an update on yourself if you want to. Give me an update on which decks you're working with at the moment. How are the energies right now for you? I think that was it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I know it was a few days late. However, better late than never. Much love.